Hello and welcome back to Paloma Valley. Last episode we came back to the city for the first time in about 9 months, and there was a lot to fix. There was a huge death wave because there wasn't enough healthcare placed down, and I think this was partially due to me having removed some assets from the game because it was getting a little bit too overloaded, forgetting that they were being used in this build. So we fixed the death wave, and we also went round and fixed some issues in some of the other districts, and I had a quick look at the districts that we didn't get to before starting this recording, and I honestly don't think there's much that needs doing in any of those. So today is going to be focused on one thing, and one thing in particular, and that is fixing the traffic in the oil and farming industry on the other side of the hills to Castlemead. The traffic getting to the cargo train station is horrendous. There are trucks backed up all the way onto the highway, and the road layout really can't handle as many trucks that are coming through now. So today I think I'm going to bulldoze some of the roads and possibly move the position of the station so that the traffic coming off of the highway isn't getting caught up with the traffic from within the farming area. So to show you what I mean, these trucks here coming off of the highway are having to come up this road, then they're having to turn left here and then turn right to get to the cargo train station. But this is also crossing the traffic coming from the farming district and the traffic coming out of the oil area. Now, I don't know if you remember, but this oil district was really small because there isn't that much here, and the end of the tile is around this point here. So we can't really go any further in this direction, and there's not that much natural resources. So the oil area is very long and very thin, but it does mean that there's only one way in and out, and that is right on the junction where the cargo train station is. And as the population is nearly at 40,000, it's getting very, very busy, and I'd like to find a way to get these trucks off the road. So I think that will involve somehow getting this road to the cargo train station without having to cross either of these two areas, but these two areas will still be able to get to the train station. So it may involve doing a little bit of terraforming and maybe cutting away into some of this hill so we've got a little bit more space, because the train tracks really work like this. There's no conflicts, they never get stuck, and they work in both directions. So I don't really want to move the tracks, but we may have to just extend it out a little bit. So how are we going to do this? There is traffic coming from all directions, and I'm going to need to get them to cross over somehow without having them all meet in one point in the middle. I have a feeling that some of these are one-way roads as well. Yeah. So this is a one-way road, and that's basically to force all of the cargo traffic to come out this direction so that they're not crossing over the road to get in or out of the station. But it has meant that the oil traffic is now being fed down there as well. So what I'm going to try and do first is to basically disconnect all bar one of these farming roads from this main road so that we don't have as many conflict points. So I think I'm probably going to keep this one on the end here, and then all of the farming traffic will have to go through this road here. I was considering keeping two roads and turning them both into one-way roads, but depending on which road these assets in the middle are attached to, it could create large loops where the trucks just keep going round and round in circles to get to different parts of the farming area. So let's just disconnect all of these roads here and see if that helps. Okay, so now all of the farming traffic is going to have to come down this road here. Hopefully that will fix the issues, although it may not. So let's just let it play through for a minute and see if it makes much of a difference. Okay, so I can already see these store things here becoming an issue because most of the vehicles seem to be going to the cargo terminal, which makes sense. They're taking goods out of the city, but then some are also going onto the highway. So they're having to then loop back through the cargo terminal loop and then all the way back through again. So I think maybe having these on the main road is causing some issues, but we could also do a little loop here possibly so they can turn around. And these are the same. So that one can be reached there, and this one, what's this one? Okay, so that is just a regular farming building, I believe. and that's not causing any issues. There's a few looping around there, and yeah, they're kind of all doing the same. No one's really going to those ones. Okay, so these stores might be better off placed possibly down here where they can get out in both directions. So let's just move those down to here and see if that makes a difference. Now obviously that does leave a gap up there now, but we might be able to fill that with some detailing possibly, so that there's not anything on the main road that people are actually going to want to go to. So the traffic is still pretty bad around here, but let's see if moving these has made any difference. Okay, I think we might need some lane rules on here to see if that makes a difference. So that one can only go that way, and let's make them all get in the right lane as soon as they get out of the terminal. Hopefully they will all now be in the right place, and anything that's going onto the highway down here will just be able to feed straight out rather than getting stuck in this. So where are all of these tractors going? They're going up that way. Okay, so they're returning to the facility after having dropped off the oil. Maybe it would be better to have the one-way road going the other way. Let's give that a go. Let's change the direction of the one-way road and see if that makes a difference. It's going to be a whole load of trial and error in this episode. So let's change the direction of these roads. These trucks coming down here are not going to be going this way because that is a one-way road. So they're only going to be going that way. Let's do some lane rules to get them in the right place where they need to go. And let's do some here so that you are going that way and you're going straight on. And you're going that way and you're going straight on. And let's do the same here. That will be going there, and this will be going here. And let's do the same here. And you're going that way, and you're... Is this accidentally a two-way road? Oh my god, that was accidentally a two-way road that whole time. That's probably why it wasn't working. What? I'm such an idiot. Okay, hopefully that will fix some of the backlog here, so you can go straight on and you can go that way. It's very ironic that I've been talking about traffic on TikTok recently and people have been asking me for tips. This is either going to be a really good demonstration of how TMPE works, or a really good demonstration that I have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about and that this doesn't always work. Let's continue the lane rules back this way so that they're not all trying to change over at the last minute. They should just be getting in the right lane as they come out of the highway rather than switching halfway down, because that seems to be what causes a lot of the traffic a lot of the time. More lane rules needed. Once I've done all of the things I can do, I'll know whether this is worth it at all. So it may all be for nothing. So let's put up fast forward. Okay, the traffic still seems to be just as bad as it was before, just in a slightly different place. So I think what I need to do is I need to make a different entrance to the oil area that isn't connected to the cargo station but can still get back there. So how am I going to do that without just forcing more traffic down into other places? I know that we don't have much space up on this end, but a lot of these trucks are going all the way down to the end of the road and then coming all the way back again because there's nowhere else to go. So I think I may have to do a temporary connection to the highway from up here so that they can at least get in and out on this end without having to go all the way back through all of the traffic going to the cargo station and to the farming area. So let me see what I can do underground. This is probably going to be very, very messy, but hopefully it will work. So this is probably one of the worst intersections I've ever made. This road down here will now be able to get to both sides of the highway, and you'll be able to get to that road from both sides of the highway. And I decided to come off down here so that it's not making this area too busy, because there's a lot of on and off ramps here. And I tried to keep the off ramps before the on ramp so that there's not those cars crossing like you get on a cloverleaf. So hopefully this will fix some issues just by getting the cars out of this end instead of having to go all the way back through here. And some trucks may decide that they would prefer to go through this way off of the highway, but I guess it doesn't really matter at the end of the day if it fixes the traffic. But one thing I do need to fix is the height of all of these roads, because they look ridiculous. No one in their right mind is going to want to drive down there. So let me just go through and fix all of the heights. Okay, I think I've just about fixed the roads underground. I will show you what they look like now. They're all relatively flat. Obviously there's a lot of overlapping roads here, but they should all have the right clearance to get underneath them. So I'm going to press play and let's see what happens. It's definitely fixed a lot of the traffic within the industry area. Everything's free flowing. There's a little bit of stopping at some of the intersections while cars cross, but I'd say it's a lot smoother than it was. However, it has now caused problems on this part of the highway, and this is exactly why I've been talking so much about TMPE recently, because the traffic AI in this game is so bad. So if you don't use any sort of lane connector tools, it will just sit like this and it will, no joke, back up an entire city just from this one road. If we let it play out long enough, it will travel all the way up to the district on the other side of the hills. So I'm going to do some TMPE work around these intersections to try and get this traffic solved. Well, I think it's safe to say that that has fixed the issue just by doing some very simple lane connectors and removing one node. It's completely cleared all of the traffic from this road. Sometimes I'm in awe of how much one simple change can make in a city, and to be honest, it has improved this entire area. This used to be gridlock. They couldn't get anywhere and most of the trucks would remove themselves before they could even get to the station. Obviously there's always going to be traffic in areas where there's cargo. Any train or boat terminals are going to produce a huge amount of trucks. So it kind of comes with the territory. You're never going to get rid of all of the cars, but all you can really do is plan for the traffic that you do have and try and minimize it as much as possible. So I'm an idiot and I just realized that I put these roads around the wrong way, because I'm used to playing with right-hand drive on most of my other builds, even though I'm from the UK and we drive on the left. I forgot that this build was left-hand drive. So let me just switch these roads around quickly and fix this little crossover point. Right, so I've just fixed the direction of travel and there shouldn't be any more crossover here, although I have just noticed that some trucks are using this to do a U-turn. So can I do this underground? No, I can't. Okay, so I'm just going to have to live with cars using that to do a U-turn, but that's not the end of the world because everything seems to be running pretty smoothly under here. So this is probably one of the worst spaghetti intersections I've ever done. It's huge, it takes up such a huge space, but it's all underground, so I feel like it's excusable because you can't actually see it. And it's all flowing pretty smoothly. There's no conflict points, so I am pretty happy that this is going to save some of the traffic. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. It's only a short one today, but this should ideally stop this from becoming even more of an issue as the city grows further in the future. I think this is running about as well as it can do now, and the traffic has reduced drastically, so I am very happy with where we got to. Let me know what you thought of today's build in the comments. If you can see any other small things that I can do to improve this area, please let me know. But please remember, I'm not going for realism with this, and I'm not even necessarily going for full functionality. I'm just playing this game from scratch with milestones on and seeing how good I can get it to be. Don't forget to check out my socials for more content between the episodes. Clips from Paloma Valley have been featuring heavily recently, mainly because of all of the weird intersections I've got going on, and there seems to be a constant argument on whether the roundabout at the entrance to Castlemead is actually a roundabout or not. Every time I post that roundabout, I have at least one person tell me that it's not a roundabout, And as someone from the UK, I can definitively say that that is a roundabout. Roundabouts like that exist in the UK and across other parts of the world, and I feel like people are just trolling at this point. But if you want to see more scenic bits, more tips and tricks and behind the scenes footage, then make sure to check me out on Instagram and TikTok, and you can put your own 2 pence in about whether you think it's a roundabout or not. Also, don't forget to check out my Valentino Bay City Build series. I'm up to episode 6 on that now, and I've built some really interesting things so far. Last episode was a low-income, post-Soviet inspired high-rise district next to an industrial hub. So kind of related to what we're doing today, but it's something that I've never tried to do before. And I had a lot of fun doing it. So you may see some influences from that build series pop up in this city too. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.